real estate's this golden carrot that dangles out there that everybody just associates. If I've got real estate, I'm making money, financial freedom. Well, that sounds great in a fairy tale setting, but in reality, if you don't run that or handle it properly, man, like it could be the disaster, it could be the demise of your financial freedom. Implementing the right systems and processes, I think, is the biggest key. And then having a coach, whether that be a one-on-one or a group, getting like-minded people around you, elevating the people around you who are going to a similar destination. By elevating the people that I associate with, it naturally, I elevated myself.
Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
So Jason, it doesn't sound like you're slowing down at all. You're leaning in, you're doing more. Is there, sounds like you really embrace the hard. Would you say that's true?
Oh yeah, man. I think that's the only thing I know is I've got to be under pressure. Pressure brings out the best in me.
Okay, so typically when a guy starts a business, it's hard initially. How did you overcome that? How did you stay focused? Maybe what's your why? I guess your why is your 3 Ps, right?
Yeah. Well, that's really my why. You know, I'm not, the risk that I take at times, I have a built-in inherent high risk tolerance. Without getting too deep, I've just been through so much stuff in my life, a lot of crazy adversities and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, I'll break it down for you. And I don't know if I shared this with you, Marty, when we were in Austin together, but about 2-3 months ago, you know, lately now in my capacity, I'm in the office, I'm dealing with customers. Hey, what's a new opportunity for us? That sort of stuff. I'm not in the field nearly like I was when I started the company, because it was just, well, next month, it'll be 3 years. It was myself, Mike, and 2 other guys, and we were starting this business out of a 2-car garage that didn't even have electrical in it. You know what I mean? And then last year we broke 8.3 and we had a 32% net margin, and life was great. You know what I mean? And we scaled that in 3 years.
Yeah.
But getting back to your original point, I was about 3 months ago, somebody got sick and they needed help on a job. And sure enough, here I am in my polo shirt and I'm out there finishing like a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot concrete floor. You know what I mean? Something I've done for a long time, but when you don't exercise those muscles, it becomes painful, you know, especially when you get in your 40s. You know, we're not 18 anymore, buddy. So I was beat. And my youngest son, he's real picky on food. And my wife calls me and she's like, hey, this is 9:45 at night and I got to work at like 4:30. I'm an early guy, you know what I mean? And she's like, hey, would you swing around and grab Connor, our youngest son, something to eat? He doesn't want to eat what we made and all this. I was like, listen, I'm running on 1% right now. Like, I'm not going to do that. We have a gas station that's about 1.5 miles from our house. And I was like, I'm just going to swing by the gas station. And I'll get to the point of the story real quick. So here I am in a gas station, 9:45 at night on a Thursday. And it has like one of those Little Caesars Express, you know, type of things in it. And I walk in there, my son will only eat a pepperoni pizza from there. I already predetermined, I know this, that's all it is. I go to the little box and there's nothing in it. And I'm like, oh, defeated. So there's a guy back there and he's cutting up a pizza. And I said, hey man, do you got anything else coming up? He's like, actually, we stopped cooking at 9:30, buddy. He's like, I don't have anything else coming up. I was like, okay, I'll figure this out. And he goes, you having a bad day, man? And I was like, it's just been a long day, buddy. He goes, I tell you what, I had a customer call in a pepperoni pizza. That's what he's cutting up in front of him. He's like, how about you just take this one and I'll just make another one real quick. It's like 10 till 10. We'll get it taken care of. I was like, dude, you are a lifesaver. And he goes, hey man, I wanted to tell you something. And I was like, what's up? He's like, do you realize you standing here right now, you're batting 1,000 against every bad day you've had in your life? And I'm like, how am I getting nuggets of wisdom dropped on me in a gas station at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday getting a pizza? But if you're not open and receptive to it, I guess that's the real point of it, to like listening to other people and letting them inflect on you their experiences. You know, I guess you'll never hear them, but that was a little nugget, like a motivator. And I like to share that with anybody I talk to, Like even people that don't know me, I'll just walk up, hey, have you been to Little Caesars lately? But I like to share that because I think it's really mindset, man. I'm a
For
firm
sure.
believer that 99% of our problems are on that 20-pound lump that sits on top of our neck. That's where all of our problems are at. It's not outside. It's not somebody else. It's not a situation. We're not victims of circumstance. We can overcome it simply by just getting in the right mindset,
Hmm.
knowing that, hey, I've got faith. I can overcome this. As long as my intentions are going in the right direction, it will all fall, in place. Maybe not at the time frame we want it, but it will fall in place as long as you stay on the path.
Jason, how do the guest, how do we, you and I as well, align our mindset so we can do that? Because I
Man,
agree
the big thing,
100%. Like it's
yeah,
it's all up here, right?
it's all up there,
But
dude.
but
It's all up there.
how do we train for that? How do we create that mindset?
Marty, man, dude, get some, just no matter what it is or how it is, just get some faith in your life.
Mm.
I am not I can stand here and say that I'm a happily married man of 18 years and I would consider myself a Christian, but I don't do, and nothing against it. I just don't do the normal. I'm not in church on Sundays. Okay. I'm not, I can't quote scripture to you, but I
Hmm.
just have like a super strong faith in God. And I have a super strong faith in the fact that, as long as I'm doing the right thing, as long
Yeah.
as, because I've been the guy who's down who could have really used a hand, as long as I'm open to that and I'm willing to do that, that it'll come back. And my wife and I have done that so many times over, it's unbelievable. Um, you know, I think our true, like the true injustice and what God, whoever that may be in whose ever eyes, but
Sure.
like our responsibility and obligation for us being on this earth, like we've already won the lottery just by being alive.
Hmm.
And then if you made it past 6 months or a year, you won the lottery again. So we're winners, right? Um, but our obligation is to be the best version of ourselves every second that we have, we're here.
Mm.
Because as we know, and I'm sure you've got, experience, I'm sure all the listeners do too, that life's not guaranteed. No matter how much you eat right, do the right things and everything else, I mean, it could be over in a second. And that's his plan, not ours. So you have to be the best version of yourself every second you're breathing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where when you can adopt that kind of mindset, like I'm gonna be the best version of me, and I'm gonna be open and receptive to hearing other people's stories and learning things from
Hmm.
people that I didn't think could teach me a thing. That's when life starts making sense and everything starts falling in line.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think that's part of the reason I started this podcast was, I mean,
Yeah.
you said you're live. You're also live in America, right? And I remember my dad talked about that to us as kids. Like, you're not born in Africa. Like, the world's
Mhm.
before you in central Illinois or central Oklahoma, wherever. Like, we've got it. But you still have to line that mindset and
Mhm.
have that perspective. I mean, you talked about you and your wife having struggles through life. And I think that really helps the mindset,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The
Mhm.
struggles and the faith that happens. Because who do you reach out to when you're in trouble, right? That's when we say
Yeah.
our help God prayers.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
see ourselves
Yeah.
come out and God gets us through it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think faith's a big part of that too. So
Yeah. And like I said, whatever that may be, if you don't have to, you know, pound the good book to do it or be present here or there. But if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. If that's
mhm,
where you find the motivation, you just got to figure out, man, like where, you know, just like you asked me, what's your why?
mhm.
Like figure out your like core why, right? And figure out who you are. And then just always wake up every day and just say, okay, I'm going to go towards that. I'm going to go towards that. No matter what's happening, rain, sunshine, whatever, I'm going to go towards that. And yeah, it'll happen, man.
Yeah, that's good. Over the years, I have been coached by countless mentors, and now I want to offer that to you as well. How? By Marty Hofmann's Life Coaching. This will be a 6-week program in which I will guarantee you will develop a more growth mindset. We will set goals and learn about the importance of the processes and habits behind those goals. I will also help you see your story differently as things happening for you, not to you. We will also be discussing your future self and give you clarity on who that is and what it looks like. For more information, please follow the link below or hop on martyhoffman.com and follow the coaching link. So talk to me about how your vision has evolved over the last few years? I mean, you started off as this doing work on the side, then you start doing it, you're doing solar. How has, and I mean, you just told me before we started that you just hired a COO. How's your
Yep.
vision continuing to grow and evolve? And where do you see yourself going in next?
I realized in my last business, like I had the physical work down, but I didn't have the right structure. I
Sure.
didn't have the right, it's regardless of whether you're freeze drying candy in your basement or you're running a multi-billion dollar company, it's still a business, right? And last year was a phenomenal growth. We 200x from 23 through 24, and we did the majority of that in Q4 of 24. Like
Wow.
it was crazy, man. It was 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. We had 28 employees on staff, and everybody was just pumping and going. And all I could do at the time, like I couldn't give them all the answers. I was just the cheerleader. You're like, we can do it, guys. We can do it, And anyhow, I realized at that point, and that's kind of how the reason I met you.
Sure.
We were, I'll just be open and transparent, man. Like I was so burnt at the end of last year after all that. Like it was a sprint from like the first week of November on. We had a hard deadline in solar where because they were taking away the net metering, the true 1-to-1. Now it's like 70 cents on the dollar. We thought it was going to be bad. We were all fear mongering everything, and we had to get these jobs done. I will say this: we got every customer that we promised we get it done. We finished 5 o'clock December 31st, so New Year's Eve, was our hard deadline for submission back to the utility with finished completed pictures and documentation. We finished our last job at 4:32. Okay, we had 28 minutes left to spare in the year, and it was actually the day before. I was out bouncing from job to job, trying to make sure guys have everything, jumping in where I could, and I sat there and I was just like, dude, I was beat. Like there was nothing there. The vapors in the tank were long gone. There was nothing left. And it was kind of funny. I had this thing, and not to be triggering to anybody, but I was either gonna A, suck on a shotgun, or I was gonna B, go somewhere really cool and try and unwind. And I am not good at unwinding, okay? And it was funny, my dad and I had a real tough relationship when I was a younger kid. I watched him go in business, things were great, and then I watched our house get repoed and lose everything, bankruptcy, all this stuff, okay? And in turn, he didn't know how to navigate his feelings and emotions, and I'm not a big feeling emotion guy, but he kind of took it out on me, you know what I'm saying? And it caused a lot of like tension between us for a long time. We've since kind of built it back up. Is it perfect and ideal? No, but it's us. And he calls me when I'm having this thought. It's raining, it's like 34 degrees, you know what I mean? And it's horrible. And he's like, what are you up to? And he never calls me during the middle of the day. And I was like, I don't know. I'm beat. I'm just exhausted. I need to go somewhere cool. And typical Midwest thing, I was thinking like, oh, let's go to Florida or something like that. No offense to anybody in Florida. I love Florida. It's beautiful. But he's like, well, if you've had a really good year, my dad's kind of matter of fact. If you had a really good year and you want to go somewhere great, why don't you go to Hawaii or something? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Hawaii. So I'm jumping on my phone, Travelocity, all this stuff. Where in Hawaii? There's a bunch of islands. Maui always sounded cool. Boom, 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 Maui. And so I booked a trip, and I was like, you know what? I was looking at like, your normal hotels, right? Scarcity mindset. I was like, dude, I did really good. Like, pat myself on the back. So I booked this fancy place that I thought it was $450 a night. And I was like, I will not tell my wife how much this hotel costs. She will lose her mind. Well, come to find out, the hotel was like $1,000 or $1,200 a night. This was some New Year's Eve special that I just happened to like stumble upon. I booked the flight, because granted, you can imagine coming from the Midwest to Maui, that's an expensive flight. And I was like, okay, I can navigate this by using my airline points I got on my credit card, you know what I mean? And did all this stuff. Anyhow, we get out there to Maui, 6 days too. Like, we go to this hotel, man, and I'm going to say this. If you don't know like a bucket list item and you're from central United States, go to Maui. It's honestly the most beautiful place I've ever been personally in the world. And we were out there. Normally, if we're going on vacation, typical thing, 4-day vacation. 1 day of driving, 2 days jam as much stuff as you can, and then 1 day red eye all the way back, and then go to work the next morning. Well, we took 6 days, so we were feeling real fancy. And if we're going to go stay somewhere nice, usually we're looking for like a La Quinta Inn or something, and not a place like this. Anyhow, it took me a couple days to unwind. I finally unwound a little bit to where I could relax. Had some really, in that super hard 7-day a week stuff, grinding. I kind of lost touch with my family in a way, even though I slept there every night. I showered, but that's all I did. I wasn't attentive to my kids. I wasn't attentive to my wife, and they were awesome in the fact that they didn't give me a bunch of negative feedback, because they knew Dad was trying to do everything he could to get us to a level that we've never been at before, right? But then, so I tried to show appreciation by doing that. The kids loved it. We had fun snorkeling. I learned how to surf. They somehow in Maui, they manufactured this material that was big enough to float my 240-pound butt on a surfboard. And somehow I've got some still pictures that I surfed. Now, I may not be on there real long, but I've got some still pictures. Anyhow, running through the whole story, I was just hanging out by the pool. It was day 6. We were supposed to fly out at 11 o'clock at night. And there's a guy, and I don't know if do you know Mike Ketchen? He was one of the speakers there at REI.
Okay. I know the name. Oh, yeah.
He's
Michael.
Bald, got a red goatee,
Yeah.
kind of like a New England accent.
Yeah.
Like he left his khakis and his khakis. Yeah. Anyhow, we're sitting by the pool. My wife and daughter, I let them do the little get their nails done type of thing. My son and I are sitting by the pool, and then I see this group of guys, and you can tell they're not related. They're of different ages, so they're not like they went to school together. They got their families with them and all this stuff. And anyhow, I'm sitting there, and they're just like full of energy. And I can be outspoken at times, but I wanted to know what they were doing. And I walked up, in full transparency, it was legal. It was noon in Maui, okay? That means it was 6 o'clock at home. So I walked up and I got a beer at the bar, all right? And when I was up there, this guy was like, man, we just need to get together as a group and say, screw it, let's just get it done. And I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and he's like, that guy knows what I'm talking about, and he gave me a fist bump. And I was like, okay. And I just went and sat back down, and I was like, man, I want to know what these guys are doing. Like, why do they have so much energy? There's no reference, you know what I'm saying? And anyhow, I sat there and I kind of poached him. Like I was like stalking him for like 15 minutes, and he was catching is just bebopping around, and you can hear him across anywhere you're at. Maybe he was stealing a little bit of my energy because I talk kind of loud, and maybe I was jealous of that. But I was like, all right, I'm just going to go up to him and I'm going to say, hey, what's your name? What do you do, man? I just want to know why you're so pumped up. So I built up the gumption. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'm gonna run right out, and I'm gonna say that to him. So I go to the bathroom real quick, checked with my son, he's all good. I ordered him some fries or something, and he's sitting there eating them. And I go to walk up to him, and he's gone. He's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, ugh, and I sit back down defeated. By this time in the Maui sun, my beer's hot, you know what I mean? And like, what else could go wrong? And I was finally like, there's that group of people he's talking to. I'm just gonna go up to him. And literally that's what I did. And I actually walked up to Ian Bishop, who Ian is now my personal coach. He runs a company, it's Rev Ops Academy. And I just walked up to him and I said, hey man, no problems. Like, you're walking up to a group of guys by a bar, you know what I mean, at a pool, and the initial stance is like, what's your problem? I said, hey, that bald guy with the Boston accent, I said, where's he at? What's his name and what does he do? And they're like, what's your problem with him? I was like, no, I don't have a problem. I just want to know what he does, why he's so pumped up. We got to talking. They're like, well, what do you do? And I said, well, and this is the truth. The night before, my wife and I were at the pool, and I was like, honey, I love our construction business, but unless I make some big changes, it's going to be, I can't replicate this. Like, there's nothing left of me. I can't continue to do this year in and year out. Right. But I said, the way we're really going to grow it, by this time we had gotten 26 single multifamily properties now, and we're cash flowing great, and things are good. We're getting ready to do a big cash out refi. But we had that talk that, hey, we need to grow our real estate. And I walk up to these guys, not knowing any of them. I didn't know who Brandon Turner was. No offense to the bearded guy, but I didn't watch any of that. I didn't know anything about it. And I just walk up to them and say this. They asked me what I do. I said, well, I have a home service company. My wife owns a bar and grill, and we want to grow our real estate. And they're like, are you jacking with us here? And I'm like, no, that's really it. Well, tell us about you. And we got to talk about tax credits, and I can like nerd deep dive on tax credits and stuff because that's my business. And they were all excited. And before you know it, it was like 2 hours later. And I was constantly checking on my son. I promise I'm a good parent. And anyhow, long and short, they're like, this tall bearded guy, which ended up being Brandon. He's like, dude, what are you doing later? And I was like, we're flying out at 11 o'clock. We're going to do your typical Midwest white shirt on the beach photos and then probably head out. And he's like, can you extend your vacation? And I was like, that's kind of a big ask. We'll have to talk to my wife. And anyhow, sure enough, we took our pictures. He's like, hey, we're having a cookout over here and we want you to come. We want to learn more. And I was like, cool. And something just compelled me. And I was like, honey, we're going to stay another day. I'm going to book. And she didn't know what was going on. And luckily there's a good enough relationship between us that, I mean, it's kind of a hard ask. Hey, we're going to stay another night in Maui. You know what I mean? But on the same sense, that's how I got in the 50. Well, I didn't know it, but all these guys are coming up to me and talking to me and we're just spreading it. He's like, I want you to come tomorrow and I want you to sit in on our work day. We're going to be locked in a room from like 7 o'clock till 5:30, go to dinner at that. And sure enough, we did it and the rest is history. But that's what allowed me to meet all these people that have directly and indirectly had such a huge influence on my life.
If you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store. It's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com. Mindsetshop.com.
I learned about something called EOS in well, I was out there in Maui, which if you haven't read the book, it's free.
Traction.
Gino Wickman wrote it. It's called Traction. I implemented that as soon as I got back from Maui. Well, I had started reading Traction in like November, but then I had stopped for some reason. And then literally from the flight home from Maui to LAX, it's about 6 hours. I put Traction on 1.6 or 1.7 speed and Audible. And I was just writing notes and I crammed it. And as soon as I walked back in the, like it was a day later into my company, I was like, we're doing EOS. And everybody's like, what the heck is EOS? And there's actually a book that's named that. And we implemented that. That changed our whole system and how we operate. We spent all of Q1. Our sales numbers would probably look horrible in Q1 for the business.
Sure.
But by reorganizing the company, it changed all our dynamic. It made us think bigger. It made us think smarter. We have accountabilities and we have processes and everything else. And we just follow it to a T, man. And that's, I don't care who you are, whatever your business is, whether it's a podcast, whether it's real estate, whether it's your W-2 or whatever, if you can implement and EOS is not perfect,
Sure.
you know, and there's ways to spin it and make it. But if you just have a basic operating system that you commit to, dude, that's the game changer. It's systems and processes, you know, it's all systems and processes, you know, and that's, I think, and especially that was a key talking point at the REI Summit is like, yeah, cool. Real estate's this golden carrot that dangles out there that everybody just associates. If I've got real estate, I'm making money. You know what I mean? It's financial freedom. Well, that sounds great in a fairy tale setting, but in reality, if you don't run that or handle it properly, man, like it could be the disaster. It could be the demise of your financial freedom.
Yeah.
So implementing the right systems and processes, I think, is the biggest key. And then having a coach, whether that be a one-on-one or a group like, you know, the Better Life Tribe or whatever it may be, getting like-minded people around you, elevating the people around you who are going to a similar destination. And I still have all my friends. And I love all my friends. But by elevating the people that I associate with, it naturally, I elevated myself. And then I elevated myself with a systematic, process-driven type of strategy. And then since then, man, it's been rocket fuel. Just everything, you know, we still have bumps, we fail, and we have tough days.
Sure.
But when you rely back on that process and you surround yourself by good people, you find that those hurdles are no longer hurdles. They're simply pebbles in your path. That's all they are.
Jason, I've got just a couple minutes, but could you real quickly give me what advice you'd give to your 20-year-old self? If you could
advice
go
to my
back.
20-year-old self: buy real estate.
Buy real estate.
Like the motorcycles, the wakeboard boats, those are all awesome, but buy real estate, man.
Okay. How about a favorite book? I mean, you've mentioned a few here. What's a book that's inspired you?
If I had to say a book, I couldn't give you one. I'd give you two, and they were recent in the last, say, 12 months. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time.
Yep.
Okay, especially when you're in a business setting. and then relay that information, especially the 1-3-1 principle, which you can check that out. That's a game changer. And then also Ben Hardy, Dan Sullivan, 10x is easier than 2x. And the basics of that is, man, is if you're shooting for the moon, yeah, there you go, baby, there you go. If you're shooting for the moon and you fail, you're still amongst the stars. Set some good goals, set some law. We call it through EOS, it's called BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, what is it? Like, shoot for that, and even if you fall short, you're still going to be way farther than if you set a mediocre goal.
That's good. And then my last question, Jason, what is your final message? If something were to happen to you and you weren't able to continue to speak or something, what would you want the world to know about Jason?
I think the biggest thing, it goes back to a quote. I think I read it out of a Zig Ziglar book, and it may not be from Zig because he used quotes from other people, but it was ability can take you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there. And that falls into the same thing. If this is you're the last person I talk to, Marty, boy, you're a great guy, but I hope not. But if you're the last person I talk to, I would like my wife and my kids, especially my kids, to know that, hey, my dad at least had character. And he meant what he said and he did what he said. You know what I mean? I think character is the biggest thing. And if you have character, you won't have complacency. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's good. Jason, how do people find, follow, and learn more about you?
Well, you can send me an email. It's Jason, Jason, at atlastotalhome.com. You can check us out on social media under Atlas Total Home. Just pretty ATLAS, pretty simple. Give me a call. Here's my cell number. Shoot me a message, whatever. It's 217-497-2073. And I'm starting actually working with Ian, and we're going to be doing, I'm going to be helping contractors, some people who are trying to transition from like, hey, I want to get into real estate, or I'm W-2, I have some, want to grow it, or what's my path from I'm ready to leave my W-2, but I don't have a clear, concise path to make real estate my full-time gig. And also with like a little sub thing of helping a lot of contractors. How do I leverage my contracting business into my real estate? So just give me a call, shoot me a message or whatever.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jason. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.